When you hear the word creatine, does your brain automatically go to big bodybuilders building big muscles? If so, you are not alone. But creatine goes far beyond building big muscles. It helps with strength, it helps with workout performance, healthy aging, even mental clarity. There's so many great things about creatine, which I'll go into today. I do get a lot of questions, but is it going to affect my kidneys? Is it bad for my kidneys? Doesn't it cause hair loss? Can women actually take it? But I'm in menopause. Should I take it? So, again, I'll be answering all of those questions. If you are new here, hi, my name is Danielle Carr. I am a registered and licensed dietitian for the past 18 years. I'm also a certified personal trainer and creator of the Unprocessed method. I have been doing this for far too long and really in the industry for over 25 years. And so one of my biggest things is making nutrition simple. On this channel, I talk about hormones, we talk about weight loss, we talk about mental health, but really with hormones and weight loss and how to get your body healthier without obsessing over every single calorie. So if that's you and you are interested in more videos, please like, subscribe so you get tuned in into when more videos come out. And thanks for being here. All right, let's get into it. What is creatine? So creatine is actually naturally made in your body. It's made from amino acids, and so the liver and the pancreas make it, but 95% of it is stored in your skeletal muscle and 5% is stored in your brain. Why is that fact so great? It's because your muscle and your brain require so much energy. Think about that throughout the day. They require so much energy, and your body needs help. And creatine actually will help recycle ATP, which I'll talk about in a minute, but kind of give you more energy and help with that. Okay, so what do I mean by that? You have ATP in your body. I love ATP. It's pretty incredible. It's what helps with the energy in your body. And I'm gonna simplify this in a really easy way. Think about ATP as a rechargeable battery, okay? This is ATP as your rechargeable battery. And when you're doing things like weightlifting, you're sprinting, you're climbing up stairs, you're grabbing a lot of heavy things, or even like a very, very mentally stressful day, maybe you've got a big project, this battery gets drained, right? Over and over, and you need charging. Well, think of the rechargeable battery system as creatine. We'll think of it as phosphocreatine, but we'll say creatine for easy explanation purposes. So creatine is what helps the ATP, right? The ATP energy, you're going to put it in here and it's going to recharge. So you can actually do those things. You can actually get in that one more rep when you're working out, or power through your workouts in the best way possible, or get better results from training. Maybe it's better performance through several sets of your workout. Another way to think about it is think about like if you had a power drill. Okay, you got a power drill, do like this. And I've got the battery, the rechargeable battery on the bottom. Well, I'm using the power drill, and once the battery goes out, your creatine is like that extra battery that's like, zoop, I gotcha. Okay? So creatine doesn't really build muscle for you, but it can help you train more effectively, which in that way is going to help you build more lean muscle mass and then get, the better results that you're looking for and preserve muscle over time. So I will say, our body does make creatine, like I said, and we actually can get it from food. We can get it from red meat. We can get it from poultry. We can get it from chicken. So why would we take creatine? Okay, well, I love creatine because it's one supplement that has been studied there's thousands and thousands, over thousands, I should say, of creatine studies. It was found in the 1830s, and thousands of studies on why it is so helpful. And it's like one of the very few supplements that I always recommend. So why do we want to take it? Again, especially if our bodies can make it and we can get it from some of our food. Well, our bodies our muscles aren't full of creatine all the time. It actually kind of can go empty sometimes, right? Which can be super frustrating. So we need the help of that creatine. And eventually those creatine stores will go down, or as you get older, you're not getting that lean muscle mass growth like you used to, and so our creatine stores go down as well. So who can benefit from creatine? If you are someone that is wanting to age gracefully, like you're actually wanting to have strength and stability and be able to live independent, great. If you lift weights, if you're an athlete, if you are trying to preserve the muscle, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, kind of goes without saying. I also said if you want to get stronger as you age, women during perimenopause and menopause, that's a big thing that I'll go into as well. And or if you're somebody that's just like really under a lot of stress, I'm going to recommend creatine as well. So if you want to get stronger, preserve the muscle, age well, yes to creatine. And I'll talk about why it's so important for women. So women, I want you to hear me out on this, because again, I think that is one of the most thought of questions, or questions I get asked is, should I take it if I'm a woman? So yes, women, we need it more than, I'm not going to say more than men, but we need it. All right, because we have less muscle than men. Sorry to say that, but we generally have less muscle than men. We have less creatine storage. We also tend to eat less meat, so we're not eating as much creatine. And then if you're in perimenopause and menopause, as our estrogen changes, I talk a lot about this in my program because there's so much that goes on to it and so many changes that happen in our body. But as the estrogen changes, we're losing our bone loss. We're losing our muscle mass. We're not able to preserve that as much. And so that creatine is going to help that and going to help recycle that. And then also our gut mucosal intestinal lining starts to get gaps in it. It starts to weaken, and that creatine can help with that when we're actually getting our gut balanced. So, and of course it goes into muscle, but I want you to remember that muscle is not just how we look. I think a lot of us can think, I don't care to work out, or I know I need to, but not my thing right now. It's really not only about how you look. It helps your metabolism, your blood sugar, your bones, your balance, your strength, and then your ability to maintain independence, especially as you age. So it does not replace strength training. I'm sorry, it does not replace strength training or the adequate amount of protein, but with the adequate protein in strength training, the sky's the limit. It's so helpful for you. Okay, my next topic is the creatine in the brain, not in the brain, and the brain. I love this topic because if you have followed me for some time, I love talking about the brain. I love studying the brain. I love researching the brain. I mean, it's something that I think starting to become more research now, and people actually care about it. But here's the thing with the brain. It is a very demanding organ. We use it all day. We are making decisions all day. We have decision fatigue. We're thinking, we have stress. And just like our muscle needs to regenerate that ATP and it needs help with that, so does our brain. Think about that. In the day, you've made so many decisions. By 2 p.m., you're just like, I am done. I am exhausted. I don't want to make another one. I can't. And so creatine can really help with that. So researchers are studying creatine for memory, mental fatigue, cognitive function, brain health, and then performance during sleep deprivation. There was a great study in 2024 done on this with people that had sleep deprivation. And it came out to being like a 150-pound person could take 24 grams of this creatine, and it helped immensely with brain fog and decisions and cognitive ability. Now, 24 grams is a research number. That is not a number I'm going to recommend, at least yet, but very interesting in that. And so I'm going to talk about that and how much you need on a normal daily dose, but you can kind of keep that in mind. And know that if you are constantly tired, you're constantly fatigued, and that the creatine's not going to be a replacement. It hopefully can help. But if you're still having issues, I do need to make sure to tell you, like, look into that. That could be, first of all, what's going on with sleep, but thyroid issues, iron, blood sugar, your food intake, your hormones, your metabolism. There could be something more to that, but creatine definitely will help your brain energy system. All right, how much should you take? So for most healthy adults, I'm going to keep this simple, 3 to 5 grams, but to make it even more simple, I usually recommend just 5 grams daily. Now, some people, if they're really sensitive Or I've had somebody say that, I've had a couple people say they're really nauseous. I might say, okay, let's start with 1 gram, move it up. A couple weeks later, start with 3 grams. A couple weeks later, start with 5 grams. If you're feeling okay, we're good. You can take it anytime. I also get questioned that. I would recommend in the morning, at nighttime, because of the help with brain and mental clarity. I would keep it in the morning, but you could take it with a meal, coffee, a smoothie. You could take it before a workout or after workout. I'm always going to recommend after workout, because anything after you work out, that uptake is going to be really quick. Okay. So timing is not that important as consistency. Consistency is my biggest thing. So a lot of times you could think, or people will ask, well, if I'm not exercising, do I need to take it on those days? Yes, because you want your creatine is pulling water into the muscles. It's making your muscles full with that creatine, and we want to keep it full. So if you're not taking it, it's going to start to go down. So you really want to stay consistent. Pick a time of day, do that every day. Okay? I also get asked if you need to load creatine. Not necessarily. I might tell you differently if we're working together. But loading creatine means taking 20 grams in the day, but throughout the day. So 5 grams a day, 5 grams a day, 4 times a day. So taking that 20 grams throughout the day. A lot of people do that for a week, and then they'll load up and fuel and fill their muscles. And so it's faster, right? I don't necessarily think you need to do that. I think take your 3 to 5 grams a day for a few weeks, and you're going to see a change there, especially because there could be some discomfort with that and bloating. And so, take the 3 to 5 grams a day with food. Make sure it's dissolved well as well, which gets me into what kind should you buy. So the most researched, and the one I'm going to tell you to do, is look for creatine monohydrate. Okay? It's, again, the most researched form, the one that works, 3 to 5 grams. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need all the additives. Just get a creatine monohydrate. I'm always going to recommend a third-party tested. 100%, if you can do that, if that's possible, do that. Third-party tested, okay? Now, I do love Creapure. If you have heard of Creapure, it's a very high-quality German-made creatine. It's a B2B. The purity standards are amazing. So if you can get that, that's what I would get. It's a great option, not the only option, okay? Okay, I'm going to get into some myths. Like I said, will creatine make me gain weight? Oh, I get that question a lot. Now, I've actually had a couple clients that just will not take the creatine because they felt like it made them gain weight. They just won't go back to it. Most of the time, I don't have that. I really don't have a lot of people gain weight. And if you do, it's usually like a couple pounds. And I really want you to get away from worrying about the scale so much. So creatine may go up slightly, especially when you first start taking it, but usually it can calm down, like 3 to 5 weeks maybe. But I want you to remember that doesn't mean you gained fat, okay? This is not fat gain. This is actually, it's in your muscle, because again, creatine pulls the water into your muscle cells. It's going to make your muscles look fuller, feel fuller. Don't worry, not like huge or anything. But it's water inside your cells, not body fat. Again, and it will go down. And remember, if creatine is helping you build muscle over time, that's a good thing, right? That's going to do way more benefit than worrying about those couple pounds, because muscle burns fat. Muscle helps our metabolism. It's going to get you to the results a lot faster, or even just get you to the results in general if you're like stuck at weight and you need to lose weight, or other things. So don't let the scale be your only measurement. Okay, watch out for that. I want you to think, am I getting stronger? Is my waist or circumference changing? Do my clothes fit differently? Do I feel better? Those types of things. Another thing is creatine bad for your kidneys? So research does not show that this recommended dosage of creatine is bad or damages your kidneys. Now, it may slightly raise that creatinine level. So, when you go to the doctor and it says the form says what supplements are you taking, let them know you're taking creatine, because then the doctor will know that's why your creatinine is high. Now, if your creatinine is really high, you might, or even before labs, get off creatine for a few weeks. So that way you know there isn't something else going on there. If you do already have kidney disease though, or you've got something going on with your kidneys, definitely talk to your doctor before taking creatine, okay? Next myth, does creatine cause hair loss? This myth is wild to me how many people understandably still wonder about this. This was from a research study in 2009. So many years ago. They did it, I believe it was with 20 rugby players. I think it was only 20. I know it was a very, very small amount. And in this study, they found when taking creatine that their DHT was raised. There was changes in their DHT, and so they said, oh yeah, it can cause hair loss. Well, there was a more recent study that was longer. It was a 12-week study, and they showed no changes with hair loss with a placebo group and the people taking creatine. So there have been no studies linked to that. You know, if for some reason you think that it's causing hair loss, then I would stop taking it. But usually if someone's losing hair, I'm going to look more at other possible causes like genetics, high stress, thyroid issues, nutrient deficiencies, rapid weight loss is a big one, medications, so things like that. So kind of just be aware of that and think of some other things. Another thing is people are asking, does creatine cause dehydration or cramping? No, there have been no studies that show that. Do make sure you drink lots of water. Again, creatine's pulling muscle water into the cells, so watch that. Can you put it in coffee? Yes, you could put it in coffee. You could put it in smoothies. I know I already said that. But these are some questions that I get asked. You know, do I have to take it on rest days? We talked about that. Yes. Do I need to cycle creatine? No. So keep taking it. Okay. I think that helps. If you have questions, I would please ask me your questions. But here's what I want you to remember. It's not a steroid. It's not a hormone. It is naturally found in your body. You know, do third-party test it if you can at 3 to 5 grams a day, every day. And remember that supplements are often much more complicated than they need to be. So if you have questions on those, I want to know. But with creatine, just keep it simple, okay? And also remember that creatine monohydrate. That was the other thing that I wanted to say. A supplement should add a strong foundation, not just replace it, okay? All right. I want to hear from you. Is there anything that you took from this that you would do differently? Let me know in the comments. I also want to know, because this helps me help people better and help you. Are you already taking creatine? Are you starting it? Are you thinking about starting it? Are you still unsure? Do you still have some questions? But I'd love to know what surprised you most about the creatine. Are you going to take it? If this video helped you, I would love for you to please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to Unprocessed with Dani. Share this with somebody that it might help. And just remember, it's not for only male bodybuilders. So hooray. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.